Okay, this is a video that explains how to do a simple record search for people that are in your tree to see what information FamilySearch has in its record collection. We have like 2 billion records in our record collection now, and so I'm just going to show you today very briefly some basics of searching for records in FamilySearch. This is my grandmother, Alice Lucille Clark, who was married to Robert C. Kelvington. And they were married in 1938. They had 7 children. I'm not going to list them all here. I'm not going to open that up and show you because some of them are still living. But we're going to look for records on her. We had previously shown you how to read the sources down here. So we had found census records and a marriage record and a death record for her that were already in the tree. But we're going to see if we can find anything else for her. And the easiest way to do this is if you go over here to this side of the screen and hit search records and then click on family search, it will pull some basic information about Alice from her page. So, that we knew her birth date and her death date and other things. And it's going to populate these search fields on the side. So it's pulled in her name, it's pulled in a life event of birthplace and birth year. It opens up the range a little bit based on the birth year that was in there. And then a marriage place, and it opens up the range on the marriage year, so 2 years in each direction. And then you can add additional information as well. So you'll see when we first come in, it's going to look and tell you, based on the stuff that you put in, it's going to bring back some possible hits. Usually the best hits are at the top. We know she's born in 1921, so we would expect her to show up in a 1930 census. I happen to know that her parent, well, up on the top you can see her parents' names are Arthur Clinton Clark and Martha Music. So if you want to, you can limit these results by specific collections. And if I click on this collections tab, let me just see if I can find her in 1930 census. We know that that's already there, but I just want to show you how this works. So when I do that, it brings me back a couple possibilities, and I see here on the third row, there's Arthur C. Clarke and Martha Music. So there she is in a record. And that was something that was already on our sources section. But I want to look today for records that may be out here in the tree that are not, or out in our records collection that are already not attached to her in the tree. In this case, this one is attached. I can tell because it's got this little tree symbol next to her, so that means it's attached to someone in the tree. And if I click on this, I can see, you know, the index of the record and the image of the record, and it's telling me that it is attached. So, and that's one we saw earlier in a previous video. So I'm not going to dwell on that today. If I click on that row, it will collapse again. But I want to look for new records. And if I go back to what was there, we had the 2 census records. The last census record that we have is 1940. So we've got all the census records for her. We've got a marriage record for her, and we've got a death record. But I'm guessing we can find some more things if we look. So I'm again hit that search, and one thing that will help is because her married name was Kelvington, I'm gonna switch this search parameter to be Kelvington instead of Clark. You'll see here now I'm starting to get some additional things that are possible hits. So here's the death index. This is, again, the death record that we already had there. You see that little icon, it's attached to the tree. But here's a find a grave index, and that one's not attached. And there, when it has a little camera icon here, that means there's a picture in the tree of that thing. So I'm going to click on this, and it will take you over to the Find a Grave partner site. And sure enough, this is a picture of her gravestone. I click on that and I can zoom in, and it's got Alice L for Lucille Kelvington. It's got her birth date and her death date, and then the inscription on the bottom is who loved her family. I love that. So that's her. I know that's her, and I want to attach that to the tree. I'm going to show you how to do that in uh, a later little video, but that's a record about her. So we found one. Um, Looks like down here, this is the 1940 census. We already had that, but 1945 Florida State Census. This could be her too. So I'm going to open that up. And there's not a whole lot of family information listed in the index. So I want to go look at the actual image and see who's in the image and if that is in fact her 1945. So Kelvington Robert, yep, that's them. Robert Kelvington and Alice. He was born in Canada. And then Juanita and Marie. And that's cool because that's my mom uh, as a 3-year-old. So that is way cool. Born in Florida, both of them. And what is this here? So this is degree of education and occupation. So if I go back down, what this is telling me is that my grandfather made it to the 9th grade and my grandmother, it looks like, made it to the 10th or 11th grade. And he was a laborer and she was a housewife. And then this is their street address in, I believe they were living in Miami. So that's cool because I could go take that street address and Google search that and possibly find the street view of where they lived. Anyway, cool little discovery here that I hadn't never seen before today um, by searching for records for my grandmother. That's it.